Cells and tissues of the nervous system. Learning outcomes. After studying this section, you should be able to compare and contrast the structure and functions of myelinated and unmyelinated neurons. We will discuss about the structure and functions of myelinated and unmyelinated neurons. State the functions of sensory and motor nerves. Explain the events that occur following release of a neurotransmitter at the synapse. Briefly describe the functions of four types of neuroglial cells. Outline the response of nervous tissue to injury. Neurons. When we are considering about neurons, each neuron consists of a cell body and its processors, one axon and many dendrites. Can you remember? Each neuron consists of cell body, processors, axon and dendrites. Neurons are commonly referred to as nerve cells. Neurons commonly referred to as nerve cells. Bundles of axons bound together are called nerves. Bundles of axons bound together. We call it as nerves. Neurons cannot divide, and for survival they need a continuous supply of oxygen and glucose. Unlike many other cells, neurons can synthesize chemical energy only from glucose. For the function of nerve cell or neuron, it needs continuous supply of oxygen, glucose and energy provided by ATP. Neurons generate and transmit electrical impulses called action potential. When nerve impulse goes through a neuron, it goes through due to transmit of electrical impulse. It means changing of ions outside of the nerve and inside of the nerve. We call it as action potentials. The initial strength of the impulse is maintained throughout the length of the neuron. Some neurons initiate nerve impulses while others act as relay stations. Some neurons begins nerve impulses while others act as relay stations, where impulses are passed on and sometimes redirected. Nerve impulses can be initiated in the response to stimuli from outside the body, from the sensory organs, touch, light waves likewise. When we are seeing something, when we are touching something, when we are hearing something, the nerve impulse is initiated by that stimuli. Inside the body, that is outside, but inside the body, example, a change in the concentration of carbon dioxide in the blood alters respiration. A thought may result in voluntary movement. Our respiratory centers, vital centers are situated in the brain, and there are three centers earlier also I mentioned: respiratory center, cardiac inhibitory center and vasomotor center. Those three vital centers are very important in respiration, regulating blood pressure and those things. So that carbon dioxide, some amount of level of carbon dioxide in the blood is necessary to stimulate the respiratory center. When it means PaCO2. Usually need 35 to 40. Carbon dioxide level should be in that range. When in that range, our vital center of carbon respiratory center stimulate and work according to that, and we can then we breathe. Alters when it reduce, alter the respiration, or reduce or increase, alters the respiration. So that control by inside the body, that nerve impulse initiated in response to stimuli from inside the body stimulate that, and impulse work according to that, and respiratory centers work. Transmission of nerve signals is both electrical and chemical. Nerve impulse goes through the nerve through electrical and chemical signals, chemical change. The action potential traveling down the nerve axon is an electrical signal. The action potential travel down the nerve axon through electrical signal. But because nerves do not come into direct contact with each other, the signal between a nerve cell and the next cell in the chain is chemical. This is the picture of a structure of neurons, uh, direction of nerve impulse is showing this red arrow. This is the nerve cell body, this is the cell body, this is the nucleus, those are the dendrites earlier I have mentioned. This is the axon hillock, axolema, this is the axolema, then axon, this is the axon going through the nerve cell to the terminal through the nerve. Then neurulema, nucleus of Schwann cells. Then node of Ranvier. There are some nodes between through the axon. It increased the transmission of impulse through the neuron. This is the myelin sheath. Those are the terminal buttons. This is a myelinated neuron. This is myelinated neuron. This is unmyelinated neuron. This is unmyelinated neuron, nucleus, cell body, axon hillock, axolema, and axon. Nucleus of Schwann cells. Okay. Cell bodies. Nerve cells vary considerably in size and shape, but they are all too small to be seen by the naked eye. Nerve cells are very small, so we can't see in our naked eye. Cell bodies form the grey matter of the nervous system and are found at the periphery of the brain and in the center of the spinal cord, from which nerve cell bodies are forming through by grey matter of the nervous system. Groups of cell bodies are called nuclei in the central nervous system and ganglia in the peripheral nervous system. Group of cell bodies are called in the central nervous system nuclei. In the ganglia in the peripheral nervous system, it means ganglia. An important exception is the basal ganglia situated within the cerebrum. It is very important to remember basal ganglia. Where it's situated in the within the cerebrum. It's very nuclei. It is very important. Exception. Axons and dendrites. Axons and dendrites are extensions of cell bodies. You have seen in that picture what are the axons, dendrites. Axons and dendrites are extension of cell bodies and form the white matter of the nervous system. In the nervous system, from the white matter forms the axons and dendrites. Axons are found deep in the brain and in groups called tracts at the periphery of the spinal cord. We call it as tracts. Tract. There are so many tracts. Thalamic tract, likewise tract. They are referred to as nerves or nerve fibers outside the brain and the spinal cord. Axons. Each nerve cell has only one axon which begins at a tapered area of the cell body. The axon below, they carry impulses away from the cell body and are usually longer than the dendrites, sometimes as long as 100 centimeters. This is the picture of myelin, arrangement of myelin. Myelinated neuron, this is myelinated neuron, this is unmyelinated neuron, length of the myelinated axon. This is the Schwann cell cytoplasm, this is the Schwann cell cytoplasm and Schwann cell nucleus. This is the neurolemma. Neurolemma is the outer covering of the axon, outer covering of the neuron. Then axon, this is the axon, this is the myelin sheath, this is the myelin sheath. In this picture, no myelin sheath, unmyelinated neuron. Those are the unmyelinated neurons. Those are the myelinated neurons. There is a myelin sheath. No myelin sheath in this unmyelinated. This is the node of Ranvier, which increases the rapid of the impulse through the nerve. Increase the rapid of the transmission of nerve impulse. This is the neurolemma, nucleus of the Schwann cell. This is the axon, and the myelin sheath. Myelin sheath covers an axon. Structure of an axon. The membrane of the axon is called the axolemma and it encloses the cytoplasmic extension of the cell body. Myelinated neurons, large axons and those of peripheral nerves are surrounded by a myelin sheath. Peripheral nerves surrounded by myelin sheath. This consists of a series of Schwann cells arranged along the length of the axon. Each one is wrapped around the axon so that it is covered by a number of concentric layers of Schwann cell plasma membrane. There is a covering of wrapped around the axon by Schwann cell plasma membrane. Between the layers of plasma membrane, there is a small amount of fatty substance called myelin. Amount of fatty substance called myelin. Unmyelinated neuron, postganglionic fibers and some small fibers in the central nervous system are non-myelinated. In this type, a number of axons are embedded in Schwann cell plasma membranes. The adjacent Schwann cells are in close association and there is no exposed axolemma. Conduction of action potentials is significantly slower in unmyelinated fibers. Conduction of action potential, it means transmission of impulse through a nerve system usually slow in unmyelinated fibers. Dendrites. These are the many short processors that receive and carry incoming impulse towards cell bodies. They have the same structure as axons but are usually shorter and branching. Dendrites are very short and branching. In motor neurons, dendrites uh, form part of synapses, and in sensory neurons, they form the sensory receptors that respond to specific stimuli. Hereafter, we will talk about the action potential, nerve impulse. Thank you very much for listening.